This is the Book of Dad with Robert Benson, an upbeat weekly review of personal anecdotes, helpful tips, and communal chat about the ups and downs of parenting. Your host, Robert Benson, knows that being a dad is not easy, but this show is for all the dads just trying to do their best. Now, here's Robert.
Hey, welcome to the Book of Dad radio show. I'm Dr. Robert Benson. As always, before we get started, we want to say thank you for Jehovah. Thank Him for His Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you for our families. Thank Him for work and our ability to do the things we're able to do. Book of Dad radio show, only on Life and Spirit online as NASCA Network. But as usual, we really try to talk to people who really got great things going on. But today, we really have a very, very special guest, one that everybody knows. I'm sure you've seen this lady in movies like Sparkle, Just Wright, and what is it? You Can't Fight Christmas. But one that's going on that's even more recent is Ambitions on the OWN network. This lady's name is Miss Brely Evans. I'm not going to steal her thunder because there's no way I can do it. Hello, Brely. How are you?
I'm absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
No, actually, thank you for coming to hang out with us on the Book of Dad radio show.
I love it.
Right.
I've been here before.
Yes, you have.
I'm just stopping back through.
Absolutely. Hey, Brely, so how have you been? I mean, wow.
You know, I've been amazing. I have not stopped, been going, but I kind of like the fast-paced lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's been truly, a stretching. I'll say that's a good word. I've been stretched, and I realize I even have more to give. Like, my capacity is even more than I thought.
Well, that's amazing. And then you don't find that out until you get pushed to your limits. So tell me about the industry itself. And you say you're being pushed, but you're obviously not tired, and you got a long ways to go.
Yeah, no, not at all, because I keep adding things to my wheelhouse. I added a new, new name behind my name, which is author. I better learn how to say it. Author. I am an author. I have a new book that's out and can be purchased on my website, BrelyEvans.com. Mm-hmm. And it is the ABCs of I Am, helping people do their declarations every morning about who they are so that they can face the world and its challenges from a different vantage point.
Well, so it's kind of a self-help thing, motivational thing.
Oh, yes. It's more than self-help. I like to think of it a little bit beyond self-help because it's self-awareness. If we are aware of ourselves and our abilities, we probably would do more. So a lot of times we forget that we are co-creators with Christ, and we are amazing, and we are miracles, and we are, like, just waking up in the morning is a sheer miracle. So sometimes you have to call those things out, out loud with the vibrations of your voice so that the very atmosphere you sit or stand in changes. And people don't know the power that they have when speaking things out. They just know this life keeps happening to me, but it's probably caught up in the words that you're saying. So I'm just trying to get people to be more mindful of their words and also speak that which is true about themselves so that they can, quote unquote, self-help.
Well, that's a great thing because, it's been said that you can speak life and death with your own tongue. I mean, that's in the Bible. And you just spoke about being one with Christ and those types of things there. So that's really, really applicable today to just an appropriate spiritual being, which you most certainly have to be in the entertainment industry.
Well, yeah. I think that it's wise to be so that you have your covering before you, go into dark places. They call us, oh, you're such a light. Yeah, I'm a light in a dark place. And it's amazing to be a kingdom representative.
I was talking to someone before who was acting, who does, movies and such like that. And they talked about being in and out of character. And a person who has been so many different characters, such as yourself, let me just ask, is it possible, or have you ever got to a point where you were finding yourself fitting a particular stereotype as an actress versus shifting gears to be a different character, if you will?
Well, do you mean shifting gears between characters or shifting gears from Brely to, let's say, Rondell?
Well, I was thinking more of the character because I was going to get to Rondell in a few minutes. But like, for instance, some actors and performers tend to fit into a genre, if you will. Not a genre, but a stereotype of a type of character.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you saw yourself in the grips of that mindset, so to speak, or are you fighting?
Do. But mm-hmm. I do see myself as being cast quite often as the best friend, mm-hmm. the nurse, and things are changing to leading lady, the girl who gets the guy. But it doesn't bother me. Mm-hmm. Like, typecasting has been known to be a negative thing, mm-hmm. but honey, would you rather be typecast or not cast? So I think people need to get their minds right with, being angry with the industry for only stereotyping you one way. Well, then what you do is you produce something to show them you can do something else. Wow. So I'm very happy with being the best friend and the nurse, and now, like I said, the leading lady who gets the guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I look at people with longevity in their career, mm-hmm. like who comes to mind? I'm looking right at her face. Loretta Devine. Do you think that Absolutely. She cares about not being a leading lady? She does not care about not being a leading lady. We all know her to be a supporting actress, but she gets just as much accolades, and she is able to exercise her gifts, excellently, in her lane, mm-hmm. as well as, who else comes to mind? Jennifer Lewis comes to mind. She always plays the loudmouth mother. And let me tell you something. Do you think she's complaining that they're not casting her as the demure leading lady? Absolutely not. Right. So I think we have to own who we are. This is why you got to do your IMs in the morning. Because when you own who you are naturally, authentically, then you could care less about going to do a job. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a job at the end of the day that we love and care about. And maybe you might get bored doing one, kind of thing all the time. But that's when I say, don't wait, create. Wow. Well, don't wait for somebody to give you an opportunity. Then just go create yourself an opportunity.
I think that's great. And so basically finding that niche and sticking with it and working through it is not a negative thing at all, especially in this industry when opportunities
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and opportunities can be few and far between depending on where you are in the process.
That's another myth that I'd like to dispel.
Okay.
I mean, I hear I bow down when there's such a Viola Davis saying such a thing. Mm-hmm. On her level, that may be true. Mm-hmm. I've been working pretty consistently down here on my level. But I also have the heart to, if Hollywood doesn't call me again, guess what? I have a college degree. I'm very capable of shooting my own projects like that, are viable to the marketplace. So again, I'm not leaving my legacy or my trajectory of my career in someone else's hands. It's not an agent's fault. It's not casting director's fault. It's not producer's fault. It's my fault. So I want more of us to take responsibility for unwrapping these gifts that God has given us. It's, maybe it's the journey that God has you on that won't allow for people to cast you. Maybe you're supposed to be a man named Tyler Perry. No one was casting him as an actor, but what did he do? He created his plays, and now he has streets and freeways and cities named after him. Right. So we have to embrace where we are and stop with what we don't have, because we have it all. Everything we need is trapped inside of us.
Wow, we just need to find a venue through which to let it out. Absolutely. Well, one other thing, we're going to take a quick break here in a few seconds. I wanted to note that the fact that you are still a comedian. Talk a little bit about comedian and your experiences as a comedian, if you will, being funny, if you will.
Hilarious. I am a comedic actress, but I don't call myself a stand-up at all. I've never done stand-up. I respect everyone that does. I mean, I so want to do it. I said I was going to do it 2019. Oh, my God, it's almost over. So I do owe you guys a stand-up show somewhere, but just keep your ears peeled. I owe it because I said it, and I'll be a woman of my word. I did say that 2019 I would get on someone's stage as a stand-up, and I haven't done it yet. So I got a little bit of time.
Hey, well, we're going to get to that as we will the rest of the show. This is Dr. Robert Benson hanging out with Brely Evans, the renowned actress who has definitely has a great laundry list of performances and credits. And we'll be right back.
Hear stories of successful people and their journey by tuning in to Let's Talk About Your Business with me, Francine Henry. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Life and Spirit Radio, only on the NASCA Network.
When it's time to move, depend on Big Brother, Little Brother to be by your side. Family owned and operated, you can depend on our experienced movers to safely transport your items. From cleaning your estate to hauling away unwanted household items, trust us to take care of everything. We also offer 24-hour towing, so we'll be there when you need us most. Big Brother, Little Brother. We do what others don't have time to do.
Hey, and we're right back. Dr. Robert Benson talking to Brely Evans, actress extraordinaire. You know, in the last session, she mentioned great names like Viola Davis and Loretta Devine and Jennifer Lewis, and how you've seen what roles they are typically associated with. And she made it clear that it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, or that there's plenty of opportunity out there if you're willing to embrace it and be what it is that is sought, if you will, based on what your own attributes and abilities are. One thing I always say about entertainers and people in various industries is that, you know, creative people, they don't compete, they contribute. So everyone has something to contribute.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask Brely to do is since she's a contributor to this great industry that we have, how is she able to shift gears from that role and characterization that she's in to being Brely, you know, whoever she is at any given time?
You know, I'm a grounded person. I'm a woman of faith, and, you know, keeping that in the forefront of everything I do, you know, keeps me pretty, you know, on the straight and narrow, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I think realizing that I am operating under a higher power, that I'm a foreigner in this place, that is what keeps me grounded, I would say.
Just spirituality and knowing that there's a higher power that's guiding you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I'm not doing any of this on my own. The opportunities that are afforded to me are written, predetermined in my story. So I'm satisfied with where I am. However, I'm not, you know, complacent. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I just think that, you know, knowing who you all keeps going back to my I Am book, because it's like knowing who you are
right.
will keep you longer than what you have.
Wow. You know, I did an interview with Les Brown recently, and one thing Les said was always do more than what you're paid for. Be the person that comes in early, stays late, and gives more, because if you give more, there may be more that can be used later on. Do you agree with that as a performer?
Oh my goodness, those are golden nugget gems that he gave. Mm-hmm. My dad tells me to under-promise and over-deliver.
Wow.
So it's kind of the same exact thing. So and even though my promises are valuable and, you know, very, you know, at a good level, I still over-deliver from that. Again, I keep going back to my book. It's at BrelyEvans.com. I promised everyone. I started my pre-sales about a month prior to the book, saying, hey, get your book. I put it on 60% off so people can get it for a really low price. Go ahead, get your book. Well, when the day on September 1st, when the book came out, I surprised all of them and gave them not only a book, but an audio book that went along with it for free to everyone who did the pre-orders. Wow. Now, everyone who did not pre-order, now you got to pay. But that was kind of a promise and an over-deliver, you know. The over-deliver is it's so awesome to be able to hear my voice read along with you, and really get you excited about what you're doing, and really another explanation and understanding of what we're doing. So I do believe in that. I believe in coming early and being on time. Sometimes I think people look at me funny when I show up on time, and because they're used to celebrities notoriously being late. Yeah. But again, my father has instilled in me, be that one that's, irreplaceable. Like, be that one that they're going to have a hard time getting another you. So it's not so much as that I'm the absolute best at things that I do. I think, but you won't outwork me. You won't outkind me. You won't, those kind of things. I will make myself available. It's those kind of moments that people remember. Like Maya Angelou said, people may forget what you did for them. People may forget what you said to them, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
Amen.
So when we value people and value opportunities, I'm sitting here thinking I had an awesome meeting yesterday, and I need to sit down and write a handwritten thank you note and send it over to the office that I was at yesterday.
Wow.
Like those kind of things are just, I just wish we could teach that in school. Like, I don't know what they're teaching in school. I don't know what they were teaching when I was in school. But we're not teaching people how to really manage your money, how to buy a house, how to love on people, how to do the things in life that are going to really matter, how to find what your gifts and passions and your talents are. Those are the things that you should be teaching at school.
Well, you know what, Brely, I tell you, you stole something I was going to say, particularly about Maya Angelou. So instead, I'm going to quote. Instead, I'm going to quote what I think Oprah Winfrey said, and that was 80% of success is simply being where you're supposed to be, which is what you talked about. What you talked about by being home and things like that. So, but the thing I wanted to ask you about earlier, because you keep mentioning your father, and you talked about being spiritually grounded. It sounds to me like you had a great family upbringing.
I do. I'm so blessed to have both my parents. I just took my mom to Hawaii 2 weeks ago. So she gets all the vacations and all the lavishness, and Dad gets me to sit down and listen.
All right.
So I'm blessed to have, them. But, I had a really good upbringing. I can't deny it. Having both my parents in the household really shaped me, and I have a great expectation for the men in my life because of my father. I am, nurturing and loving because of my mother. Like, having both parents is just such a blessing. I know a lot of friends and family who have not had that blessing. And I just pray that we all do what we can to get back to, keeping the family unit tight.
I think it's great also that you talked about things that need to be taught in school. But I'd like to take that a little bit further and talk about things that need to be taught about the industry. You mentioned buying a house. You mentioned managing money. A friend of mine said years ago that if a person can't manage $5, you can't possibly expect them to manage $5 million. So when you're in this environment where there's a lot of riches, and people are handing people large amounts of money, and then just understanding the industry as well. How are you able to swim through all of that and stay afloat and make sure that you're taking advantage of and not being taken advantage of and managing your career effectively? I
haven't been let's just say the best at handling my money. There were times when I would, because, when you're an actor, it's kind of feast to famine.
Yes.
Meaning you're like really rich on January 1st. And then by April, you're like, ooh, okay, took a bit of a hit. By September, August, you're like, okay, I'm broke again.
Right.
So I haven't been the absolute best at it, but luckily for me, I have some great team members, my agents, managers, and just my grand strategists. The people I have in my corner really help me to get on track with that. So now, owning property, investing in stocks and bonds, and things that I would have never thought I was doing, I'm learning now.
Wow.
So, and I still have a long way to go. But I believe in the tithe, and it's not always money. Sometimes it's your time. I was at an event today that Essence Atkins was being honored at, and she was saying the tithe is not always your money. It's your time. It's your compassion. It's you. So I think managing those things well will do nothing but bless you in the long run. We got to be good stewards over everything, including our health, to those dollars and cents.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned tithes, because a while back I had an individual on the show that talked about tithing, and they were adamant about the fact that it's a practice that needs to be taken in order for you to prosper, and it's mandated by God. And I think that I agree with you, is that tithing is not always monetary. It's your time. It's what you give back. And I mean, the thing about tithing, though, is it tends to lock you into a percentage, if you will. But I believe in that giving back, providing what you're going to get back. And it goes back to what we said before about about giving more than what you're supposed to, and going back to the affirmations and IMs that you were talking about in your book. But again, this is the Book of Dad radio show, and I'm Dr. Robert Benson talking to the great Brely Evans. And when we come back, I want to get Brely to talk more or some more about some of the roles she's had and some of the projects she's participated in. And we'll be right back.
The U.S. dollar will collapse. Learn why you should buy physical silver and gold. Order Dr. G's P3. Plan, prepare, protect. Visit www.ygliv.com or call 800-705-6840.
Hey, and we're right back. Dr. Robert Benson with Brely Evans. And we've mentioned all sorts of great names in the industry. Essence Atkins, Viola Davis, Loretta Devine, and Jennifer Lewis, and other people who are thriving, and they can tend somewhat serve, I guess, as a mentor, whether they want to or not. But they set examples for what people can do and should and shouldn't do. But I want to get back to Miss Evans and get her to talk a little bit about some of the roles she's played in and some of the things that she's enjoyed doing throughout her career, and some of the roles that, again, she probably enjoyed more than others.
Oh, I've enjoyed them all. It's
right.
really, I could never choose. I mean, from, going into Just Right as coworker one, to later on having a name in that movie, it's priceless.
Yes. So, but now I know you were in Sparkle, and you had to be around Whitney Houston for that to occur. And I know that part of your resume is that you're a singer. Were you able to glean anything from Whitney in that environment?
Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful that you asked that. Do you understand how amazing it was for her to say, Brely, sing this? And I'm singing and harmonizing with the voice, the voice as we all call her. It was, I don't even know how to put it in words, how it was. It was just such an amazing opportunity, and sometimes I sit and I think, wow, Whitney Houston really knew my name. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I think the same about Queen Latifah. Like, oh my God, like she knows me. It's just a blessing to be around people who have taken their gifts and, use them to the extent.
And become as famous as they are. Okay, well, now you're in the middle, and I know another prominent show that you were involved with was Being Mary Jane, and I know you worked quite a bit with Gabriella Union, correct?
Absolutely, and how fun was that? I had a blast being on that show. I love that people associate me with it because I actually was just I'm saying just, but I was not a series regular on that show, but people really associate me with the show, which is quite fantastic. But really, I was guest starring, and that means just popping in, popping out. But apparently, the shows that I was on, they really stuck. They really, left an imprint on people's minds. So I'm just grateful when people mention me in that show.
You were talking earlier about maintaining your health, and again, it goes back to your ABCs of I Am. Talk about how you're able to maintain your health so that you can continue to perform at such a fast-paced life, if you will.
I am blessed to be a really, really healthy person, and I definitely pray over myself daily from head to toe that anything that not be like Christ be away from me. I do try to, watch my eating and, exercise. I don't have a regimen that I can tell someone to follow, but I'm just really an active person. Like, I don't mind taking a few more steps in a parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I take all those opportunities as golden, so I get it in there, but I don't have a real routine that I do that I could share with people. I just, if anyone follows me, every once in a while you'll see me do a post on Move Something with Brely, because there are those times when I'm like, okay, I really want to focus on working out for the next month or so. And so I get people and fans to kind of come along with, for the ride, and we do move something with Brely. So one day it may be a dance class, which I absolutely love. The next day it may be kickboxing. The next day it might be a twerk class. Who knows? But it's always really fun.
Well, that's great. And then just being flexible, and that speaks to your ability to shift gears and do a lot of different things. But you've mentioned a lot of people here who are very renowned, and you've worked with them off and on. Is there anyone that you would like to work with that you haven't?
Yes, there are so many of those. It's like I don't even know where to start with that list. I cannot wait to work with Meryl Streep.
Oh.
I'm really looking forward to just being in her presence and watching her work. I think it's going to be next level for me. I also love, I'm looking right at her face. I'm like, it's so funny how their face, she's on the show 911, help me.
911.
We love her. She played Tina Turner.
Oh, Angela Bassett.
Yes, Angela Bassett. I would love to just be in the room and watch her work and work with her. I think that would just be an awesome opportunity. There's so many. Denzel Washington, Mr. Friedman. Like, there's so many that I would just really love to have that opportunity just to be in their presence, let alone work with them.
It's amazing. I'm glad you said Denzel, because I was going to ask you, all you've mentioned so far are women, okay? But
oh, then I said Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, you just said Morgan just now.
Yeah.
So, but I want to talk a little bit about the dynamics of being on set. How are you able to, or what do you have to do? I know we talked about being spiritually grounded and staying focused, but getting in and out of character. I know that at times, because I've been on a few sets before, that you have to read back and forth, or if you got a shot between you and someone else that's face to face, and you have to maybe read your lines a couple of different times. Is it difficult to stay in character or get in and out of character while you're doing those types of things?
No, I mean, I think it comes along with the job. You kind of learn the pacing, and you learn with every job, there's a language. I mean, I'm sure if I went to someone's tech office, they would have a language that a layperson just wouldn't. But I think for me, learning the trade of acting, learning the do's and the don'ts of acting, the nuts, bolts, and screws of acting. That's why it's important for every actor to study and go to class. Like, I don't know where I would be without my coaches. I've been blessed to work with so many coaches, but one just at the top of my head is Tasha Smith from TSAW. If you're ever in LA, make sure you hit up TSAW if you're looking to get more about get into acting. Richard Lyons, who also is the on-set coach for Queen Latifah. I've had privates with him. Like, I've had some amazing coaches, and I think that actors should approach the business just like an athlete would. You got to work out somewhere. Yeah. You got to, what champion have you seen win the Super Bowl that didn't have a coach? Wow. So it's like, don't, you should apply that to anything you're doing in your life, and any gifting. I'm speaking on acting, but my company is called Water Walkers, and we help anybody. I don't care if you're an executive, a barber, or an actor. It doesn't matter. We help anybody learn how to get out of the boat on their hopes and dreams and walk on water and do the impossible in their gifting. So these kind of principles apply across the board for whatever you're doing.
Well, that's outstanding. I love what you said about there is no team that wins anything without a coach. That is...
It's just the truth.
Yeah, it's unbelievably profound. I think that, the thing I find interesting, I should say, that's within everything that you're talking about, you get people that work hard and they don't always reach that apex, if you will. And then all of a sudden you'll see one person, they'll just catch fire, and before you know it, they're in all the main projects and things like that. What do you attribute someone who just kind of catches fire to? Is it a timing thing, or is it
who knows
thing,
what's behind that?
Yeah.
It's like looking at an iceberg. Do you see the tip of it, but you have no idea how many years and, knows they've gotten prior to this moment. So we can never celebrate people from where they are. That's just a chapter in their lives,
Right.
So I don't know if anybody's with this overnight success thing because, we've been working at this for years. So, so I don't know about that.
Okay, cool. All right, well then, we got one more segment here. We're going to come back and talk to you about a few things, show business, industry-wise, and this is Dr. Robert Benson with Brely Evans again. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Well, great day to every one of you. This is Dr. Gilbert Coleman, and man, yes, it's out. It has finally landed. Transforming the Minds of Men, the book is out. You need to make sure you rush to get your copy right away. Man, the books are flying off the shelves as we speak to you. So therefore, you need to make sure you get your copy right away. You can go to gilbertcoleman.com. That's my website, gilbertcoleman.com, and order your book right now. I guarantee you're going to be blessed beyond measure because it will absolutely begin to address some of the things that you've been asking questions about for so long. Even some of the questions that you guys would ask me in some of the various men's conferences and seminars and workshops that I've done. But now the reality of it, the book is here.
Hey, Apostle Coleman, this is Tyrell Austin. I want to thank you for that book. Has literally changed my life. I read that book so much. It amazes me that you have that much wisdom to help people like that. I thank you.
Transforming the Minds of Men. You need to get your copy right away. Again, go to my website, gilbertcoleman.com. That's gilbertcoleman.com. You're about to have your life be blessed in a way like you've never been blessed before.
Hey, and we're right back, Dr. Robert Benson with Brely Evans, and Brely is just kicking some very, very important and profound stuff to us that, we can only, hope that we can reach her level, if you will, of not only accomplishments, but just understanding, if you will, of not only self, but the industry itself, so much so that she's penned this great book called ABCs of I Am. And what I want to ask her about is the fact that, at what point do you think a person should start trying to become an actor or whatever? Because we all are very, very familiar with the entertainment industry, or we're very familiar with what we see. And you kind of alluded to this towards the end of the last session. We don't know what's below that iceberg. And I love that analogy. But we see people go from athleticism to movies. We see them go from the rap industry. We talked about Queen Latifah. She started out as a singer-rapper, and now she's one of the more sought-after performers. You have Monique. She was a comedian. She ends up being an Academy Award-winning actress, an underrated one as far as I'm concerned. But talk about, if you will, Brely, what should a typical, and not that would exist, a typical life cycle, if you will, of a performer like yourself should be?
I think you can start at any time. I don't care if you're 2, and I don't care if you're 102.
Okay.
I think that your time is your time. That's set for you. There's always a need for every look, every feel. I think everyone is perfect just the way they are. I think it's just starting now. Now is all we have. We're not promised tomorrow. So I always tell people hey, what did you do today towards your dream? Your dream is more than likely connected to somebody else's. I wouldn't be able to do this radio show if I had not gone out and lived my dream. So you would have one less guest, so my dream is connected to your dream of journalism. So it's really important for us to be serious about ourselves, be serious about this gift called life. Recently I had 2 deaths in my family, and it's just me too. But you know what I take away from it? They lived well, both of these people,
yes,
and they really honed their gifts, which is amazing. And it makes me just want to do more, So it makes me not be lackadaisical and, makes me not put things off. It makes me say, okay, now, my time is free now. Let's do it,
Right.
So I think that people should start now, whatever their now is. That's just, they're right in the right place. whether that's acting classes or, however their journey will take them, whether it's plays or whatever it is. They should just start immediately.
The thing I really enjoy that you said that you can't be successful without someone else being there or someone else giving you a boost, if you will, so to speak. And then we talked about honing your craft, but ultimately at some point someone has to see you and give you that opportunity.
This is true, but if you're not showing yourself to people, then no one will know you're alive. So it's still back on you. I think the beginning of my career jolted because I got on YouTube and I did a couple of skits on YouTube, and those skits did not go viral, but the right 100 people saw them. And I say that quite often in my interviews because I'm just telling people we got to do. Like, I'm not the best writer. I'm not the best with grammar and that kind of thing, but it didn't stop me from becoming an author. I have to do what is on my heart to do. And it's like when I get the gumption to do it, it's like I got to go get it done, whether I feel like I'm an expert or not.
Well, I love what you just said about that because oftentimes I find myself, and obviously an aspiring journalist, as you mentioned, I find myself wondering how a person who doesn't have...
Well, I'm sorry. I just want to cut you off right there.
Go ahead.
You're not aspiring. You're actually a journalist.
Oh, thank you.
Aspiring. Yeah, you're doing it. Okay, now carry on.
Hey, I'm being schooled by the great Brely Evans. Thank you, ma'am. And
I love it.
Hey, love it. Okay. Me being the journalist that I am, I find myself oftentimes wondering how some people can be successful in journalism when they're not articulate, like you said. They don't write very well, but they have millions of followers. And it really kind of not confuses me, but it really makes me wonder, what am I not doing sometimes to get to that next level?
It may be their consistency. It may be how they speak about their journalism. Like the way you just said, aspiring, that'll knock you back some years.
Wow.
Because then you just told the universe and God, I'm not ready. I'm aspiring still. You didn't claim that you are that thing. So that's why, again, my book is important because if you get up in the morning saying, I am a journalist, then you go walk the rest of your day out as a journalist and not as an aspiring journalist. You know what I'm saying? That's two different walks. One is standing outside the store, and one is purchasing at the desk. So is making that purchase. So I think it's how we live our lives, how we speak every day. You'll be surprised since we've had this conversation, those listening and you even yourself will hear yourself a little bit more. And you'll say, wait a minute. Oh my God, did you hear what I just said? Let me change that immediately because I'm actually pushing the thing I really want out of my life.
Wow.
By saying, oh gosh, I would hate to be stereotyped. Oh really? Well then don't be, like I said, don't be cast at all.
Man, that's amazing. That is so amazing.
It's like we really have to watch our words. Like we're creating even now. Like even now, Meryl Streep, Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett are all one step closer to Brely Evans because I just spoke it with you.
Yes, you did.
I spoke it in confidence. I spoke it with power. I spoke it in boldness as if it is going to happen. So I just sent out all those vibrations throughout this entire universe that is going to then boomerang what I said back to me. Some of them come quickly. Some of them take a little longer. It doesn't matter. It's still working for my good. So anybody that's not operating where they desire to be operating, it's probably in your mouth.
Wow. And that is so profound because I will never say I'm an aspiring journalist. I am a journalist. And one who has had the honor of having Brely Evans on the Book of Dad radio show today. But let me get one more thing I want you to expound on. I was looking at something that you had out there on the website and it said that through this role that you're playing, Rondell Lancaster, you are repping for real women. Repping for real women. What does that mean?
That means that every magazine or TV show for most of our lives have shown us that women are less than, 110 pounds. And so when the research comes in, especially in America, women are curvy. The majority of women are curvy, and the average is like a size 14, 16. Mm-hmm. So if that's the average, why is the media only portraying, the ones that are less than those numbers? So I feel like I have come on the scene to say, hey, we're here. We've been here. We're sexy. We're loving. We're funny. We're amazing. We can do all things. So that's what I mean by the real, we're the real representation of what America is what I represent.
Wow, outstanding. And it's such that's one thing about the industry. It tends to condition us on so many different levels. And thank you so much for stating that and dispelling that and speaking the actual truth about what the averages really are. Because, if you pay attention to that, most people have you think folks are anorexic and unhealthy and skinny. Everybody is, because I'm not like that either. So thank you very much for saying that. Right. Okay, so Brely, thank you so much for joining us today. Any closing thoughts you want to say? And I can sit down here and laundry list all of your accomplishments, but I'll have a link to your various communicative venues out there. Talk to us one last time about some closing shots and just say, hey, this is what you need to do and what you really have coming up in the near future. I know you're still with ambitions, but there's any other great projects that's coming your way?
In closing, I would just like to encourage everybody to realize that you are special, to realize that there's something in you that the world needs. That's the reason for your very existence. Mm-hmm. So it is your job to find that thing, unwrap that gift. And, you may not be on a national, international platform like I am, but if you can just change the energy in your own home, that would change it in your neighborhood. That would change it in your community, to your city, to your state, and so forth. So I just want to encourage everyone to really get to know themselves and make sure if you need a little help doing that, go over to BrelyEvans.com, find out what I'm doing, what I've been in, a lot about me, and also pick up your book, an audio book, The ABCs of I Am. Also, make sure you hit me up on all social media platforms at Brely Evans, and it's actually me talking to you there. My assistant has not yet taken over the social media. So this is a good time to communicate with me. I'm a real person. I put on my pants one leg at a time, just like you. So, let's do what we need to do to further each other's dreams, because it's a collective. And I love what I've learned today on this call is we're not competing. We're actually all contributing. That I'm going to keep.
Well, I appreciate
that.
Thank you. Yeah, you're quite welcome, Brely. And thank you so much for being a real person. And, we'll be in touch again real soon.
God bless you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Hey, this is the Book of Dad radio show, and we've been hanging out and enlightened by the great Brely Evans, the ultimate real woman. And I love the things that she talked about in the way of making it clear that there is no typical stereotype person who has to look a certain way. You can still be successful. And just to walk away with, a lot of quotes that she's made and some of the things she said about, Maya Angelou. And that was, what's important is how you make people feel, and you're not going to get anywhere if you make people feel bad. So, but I'm going to close with what she told me to say, and it's simple as this: I am a journalist. It's been Book of That radio show. I'm Dr. Robert Benson, and we'll talk to you next time.
You can find out more about Robert Benson by visiting his website, thebookofdad.net, where you can purchase your own copies of Robert's books, The Book of Dad, Quotes for a Lifetime of Wisdom, and The Book of Dad 2, more quotes and anecdotes for a lifetime of wisdom.